another week of soccer down here. John, here, you there. Soccer's morning show. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope your weekend was as you anticipated, and hopefully it exceeded your expectations. We got a lot of stuff to get into this morning. Obviously, to recap what happened this weekend. Lower divisions here in the U.S. It was the last weekend of the regular season in USL League One, USL Championship. The NWSL had its chaos, and I'm not kidding. For those of you that got to watch the Whip Around show, you got to see it firsthand with what happened with all 12 teams going at once. Although, morning, Alex. They got to work on some things. We'll get into that. We've got stuff going on with Manchester United that we got to talk about. Stuff going on in Major League Soccer. We actually had a couple of matches to talk about there as well. And the next time that Nick is on, we've got to get into what is going on with Tonali and Zaniolo. We've got to get into all of that and the implications and the information therein. So there's all of that to talk about. Whatever's on your mind this morning. Bart Keeler's joining us at 10 o'clock to discuss the USMNT, where it was the tale of 245s. We'll get into ratings and we'll get into what you really can take from that first match and get you ready for the second one. Bart's going to have a very busy week, and he'll come back after the second one. And I'm telling him this now. He doesn't know that yet, but it's pretty much an understood. After the second match, he'll come back again, and we'll discuss it all over again and discuss what happened in this window and what to carry forward. Traffic for the week. Traditionally pretty normal. We do have our programming Championship League One, MLS Next Pro. They're down to the final, and we'll cover that as well. That stuff will be out tomorrow. We're catching up with our friends at Hickory FC, one of the new clubs in the NPSL. That'll be out later today. We're catching up with them late this afternoon, and that'll get turned pretty much around dinner time. And we will catch up with the folks that have not made the playoffs for some 1v1s here in the region. We'll get their ideas about the season and what happened there and all of that. So that's kind of normal. I'm going to try to grab the folks from the USL show and see if they can come on a weekly basis for the remainder of their season, because once again, we're in playoffs, and I'm going to catch up with them. I'll yell at them and see if they can show up every week as we have a postseason, and we'll go from there. Nico Moreno joining us on Thursday, traditionally for his 10:30. We'll give you Prem and Proper as we get you ready for the upcoming weekend in the Premier League. That'll be up on Thursday and Friday, where you get to have your 3D, the Drew Dickinson diatribe, and then Friday should be back to normal with your weekend whip around. Last weekend of the regular season in Major League Soccer. So hour number 2 on Friday. Big. Our friends from Beyond Goals and catching up with them as well. So once again, traditionally very, very busy week, especially as MLS is winding down. The USL is in playoffs. NWSL is in playoffs. So there's a lot to discuss. Morning, Abby, and glad that you are here. Opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch, on Facebook, and on Twitter, or the X, or whatever the heck they call it these days. And thanks to everybody who has kicked off their day with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You see what I did there with the kickoff? Right. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. Thanks to everybody who has. And they, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the Youth Game Youth Initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So, glad that everybody had a great time with the Pride Parade and with DJEU. Glad that you guys got to do that as well. I've seen the pictures. Looked like a really fun time. Opening kickoff has to do with, I guess, the combination of owner-coach and what it can be sometimes. So, lower divisions in England. See, and Jason can do it better than I can, because I can't quite do the hold note like he does. But lower divisions in England, you have these guys that will invest a boatload of money to, it's their club. They're going to do what they want. And they're going to try to reach the promised land of the leagues that pay. And there is a club, and I don't know how many of you are really hardcore when it comes to the lower divisions. I'm pretty decent when it comes to this stuff. But there is a club called, and I'm not kidding, Dorking. 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 I don't know the genesis of the name. I probably should, or I probably should have figured it out as a part of all of this informational packet that I'm laying out for you. So in the lower divisions in England is this club called Dorking, and they have been trying to get into the second League Two and all that kind of stuff, and they are 4 points out of the playoffs currently. The guy that owns Dorking is a gentleman by the name of Mark White. Founded the club in 1999. And right now, England's version of the All-In tournament, the FA Cup, is going on. They've just now gotten to FA Cup proper, but you have all those qualification rounds and everybody that wants to jump in, the All-In tournament. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing about it. They had a match on Saturday, and White is both the owner and the manager. Started the team back in 1999, so in 24 years, they've been promoted 12 times. They started in Division 5 of the Crawley and District League, and now they're in the National League. Like I said, 4 points out of the promotion playoff. So Saturday, they were playing for the chance to get into the first round proper of the FA Cup for the first time in team history. They didn't make it. They lost 2-0 to a team called Horsham. And Horsham is in a lower division. They're not in the National League. So, what we like to do after matches is, we'll stick a microphone in folks' faces, and we will get the thoughts of managers after wins and losses. And some guys could Bill Belichick their way through it, win or loss. They could be really excited, just it's on to the next. We'll do our thing and all that. Or, you could have guys who are very animated about how they feel about their performance, good or bad. Our friend Mark White is the latter. So here is what Mark White said about his club after losing out on the opportunity to be in the FA Cup proper for the first time in club history. 24 years old, that close, lose. Here's what Mark White had to say, courtesy of our friends at the Telegraph.
Blair, atrocious, and they should be called out because they get told when they do well, and that's how life works. So anyone who goes down that ridiculous thing of, don't say it's the players, players get paid, they should do a great job. If they don't do a great job, they should at least go down fighting. That's how it works. Myself and the club have planned for this game for 2 weeks, and you'd have thought we planned it on a fag packet last night. So they've embarrassed the management team. I'll be the first to take blame. I ain't taking blame for that shower. But what I will do is guarantee that there won't be a lot more of that from these boys. Even if it takes 3, 4, 5 games, I don't care less. This bunch of players today have been shambolic.
They've been shambolic. That was a good half a dozen bleeps in about 40 seconds. Today was wholeheartedly a bunch of players that were absolute ish. I will always put my hand up. I'd be the first to take blame. I ain't taking blame for that shower of ish. But what I will do is guarantee that there won't be a lot more of that from these boys. Atrocious. They should be called out. They get told when they do well, and that's how life works. Anyone who goes down that ridiculous thing of, don't slag the players. The effing players get paid. They should do a great job. I don't know how much they get paid in the National League. If they don't do an effing great job, they should at least go down fighting. Fully deserve to be in the draw. I really hope they can get something amazing, life-changing, so my effing-ish players can learn an effing lesson because they were so poor. There was a fair chance that his players would get fined to F. Some of them showed that when the going gets tough, they don't get tough with it. They get going. That's going to be a short career for them and my club and our club, and all I can do is apologize on behalf of the players, management team, for a team not to turn up in the FA Cup is scandalous, end quote. Yeah, so I'm going to play this one more time. I'm going to play it one more time.
Blair, atrocious. And they should be called out because they get told when they do well. And that's how life works. So anyone who goes down that ridiculous thing of, don't say it's the players, players get paid. They should do a great job. If they don't do a great job, they should at least go down fighting. That's how it works. Myself and the club are planning for this game for 2 weeks, and you'd have thought we planned it on a fag packet last night. So they've embarrassed the management team. I'll be the first to take blame. I ain't taking blame for that shower. But what I will do is guarantee that there won't be a lot more of that from these boys. Even if it takes 3, 4, 5 games, I don't care less. This bunch of players today have been shambolic.
Would you ever play for a guy like that? That's my question. Michael Head, dang, and Hutch says it was inspirational. And Hutch, that's the reason that I'm asking the question. Because of that 40 seconds, why would I ever want to play for a guy like this? If I'm on the outside looking in, I know it's his club. I feel like I'm listening to Jerry Jones dropping F-bombs. I know he owns the club, and I know he's the manager. But why, in the wild blue hell, would I play for a guy like this if he's going to run his mouth like that? Then Mark White can come after me. I don't care. Not that he would ever listen to this. But legitimately, why should anyone play for a guy like that? That to me is like, if you lose out on playing in the FA Cup proper for the first time ever in club history, I get it. You're chapped. But to call out your players in that way, legitimately, and he talks about players getting paid in the transcript. Like I said, you ain't getting paid a whole lot. When this season is over, I'm looking for a new gig. If I can find a new gig and I can find a way out of my deal where I can actually get paid and get paid a decent amount of money. Because like I said, the National League, for those of you that watch Welcome to Wrexham, you kind of know what the players are getting paid in the National League. It ain't a whole lot. Unless you're like star power. But for a guy like that, for a guy like Mark White, to say what he said after losing out in playing in the FA Cup proper for the first time ever in team history, I get it. I would imagine that the players themselves are mad enough at themselves for losing 2-0 when you're right there on the edge of hopping into the FA Cup. You don't need to pile on in this situation. That might be Mark White's management style. I don't know. Maybe he's published a book on his management style or something. But to have that kind of a thing, to have that kind of a rant in your hip pocket where you bleep a guy 5 or 6 times in 40 seconds for dropping ishes and Fs, like Hutch says, that's real inspirational. But yeah, right now they're 4 points out of the promotion playoff. They're 14th in the National League. Don't get me wrong, 14th out of 24, but they're 4 points out of a playoff to get into League Two. And the National League is flawed anyway because you only have the one team that automatically gets in when it really should be 2, especially after what we saw with Wrexham and Notts County. But yeah, the other 6, 2 through 7, play for that other spot or the other spots. So, yeah, that's a guy that, the word like that gets around, hopefully, when you've got a guy like that wants to sit there and, yeah, it's my club, so I'm going to say what I want, you're not going to attract everybody all the time if you continue to be in that manner. You've gotten to this point, and that should be celebrated. The fact that you have a dozen promotions in 24 years, that needs to be celebrated and acknowledged. But the fact that you want to run your mouth, drop all these F-bombs, and think because you own the place and because you're the manager that you can do it, and you can. But think larger picture. Think larger picture. You've done well in the first 24 years of your franchise. You're right there on the edge. Mark White needs to think bigger picture. That's your opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Blanken Kickoff Coffee. Blanken Kickoff Coffee and BlankenKickoffCoffeeCO.com. Yeah. Once again, there's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch and on Facebook and on the 280 character app. I'm debating going YouTube as well. So thanks to everybody who's been using the QR code, and thanks for everybody who's been kicking their day off with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and KickoffCoffeeCO.com. And don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it into the youth game and youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and KickoffCoffeeCO.com. I ain't buying no Dorking Wanderers stuff. Michael Head did tell us that The Athletic had a good article on dorking. See, now I'm going to be making fun of dorking from now on. It's almost like a verb that has some kind of connotation that we kind of need to keep our eye on. Yeah, by the way, what were you doing? Oh, I was dorking. I was dorking the other day. But, yeah, so that's where you are. Dorking, you got an owner and a manager that likes to drop F-bombs and ridicule his players. So there you go. That's your opening kickoff. Classy guy. Major League Soccer, like I said, we got a bunch of different directions to go here today. We've got Major League Soccer. Everybody's caught up now with all of their games and where to go. Manchester United sale is officially official. Yes. Hutch, definitely. Dorking. Yeah, to dork. To negatively inspire. Therefore, dorking. Negative inspiration. Like I said, we got a lot of Manchester United stuff to get through. We got the lower divisions. We've got Major League Soccer. Bart Keeler joining us at 10 o'clock to talk USMNT. So let's go over what happened in Major League Soccer over the weekend as we get ready for the last week of the regular season. By the way, did you see that Inter Miami is going to be traveling China? They're going to be on tour. Since they're not making the playoffs, they're going to China. But not, and since, like I said, since they ain't doing the postseason, they've got to wrap up their season with a home and home with Charlotte. And it starts at Drive Pink on Wednesday, finishes up with everybody else at 6 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday with the game at Bank of America on Decision Day. But this past weekend, had a couple of games. Dallas and Colorado, a 1-1 draw. Did not have that on the bingo card. That was in Frisco, and Colorado actually, don't ask me how, Colorado, they had a 1-0 lead. Rafael Navarro scored in the 25th. Alan Velasco scored in the 37th, and it finished at a 1-1 draw. FC Dallas is trying to find a way to worsen their playoff position. Nashville and New England at Geodis had its batch of crazy. Dax McCarty scored. I can't remember the last time that happened. Dax McCarty scored to make it 1-0. Sam Surridge, who I think everyone in Nashville has been waiting for Sam Surridge to get on the score sheet, to help things out, to be that guy that he was like in the first handful of matches with Hani Mukhtar, to be that distraction, to be that secondary outlet. He was. Nashville was up 3-0 at the break. Surridge had 2 goals, 30th and at 45 plus 3. So they go in at halftime, and Gary Smith I'm sure he was very happy about the first half performance. So then it's 3-0, and you don't hang on to it. You end up giving up a brace to Shankly, and if New England doesn't activate that clause to purchase, they're in trouble. Shankly scored twice in the second half. It was 3-2, and and Nashville had to hang on for the final 20 minutes. So Nashville got full points. LA and RSL on the road in Carson, California. The Bishop, Dejan Joveljic, starts and scores. Douglas Costa, who, by the way, is still making $4.25 million a year. 2 goals on the board for LA, and they can't hang on. Anderson Julio scored to make it 2-1 at the break. Diego Luna scores with 15 to go. So that sets up your standings for this match in the midweek after the USA-Ghana match on Tuesday. Then it's all Major League Soccer for the remainder. Here's how things are. 33 matches in, except for D.C., who's done, and Charlotte and Miami, who have the makeup game. Here's how things stand. Eastern Conference, Cincinnati's in the barn. They're the number 1. Orlando's your number 2. That we know. Locked in. Not changing. 68 points in 60. 1 and 2. Done. Philly, 55 points. Columbus at 54. New England 52. Atlanta's at 50. Nashville's at 49. So, yeah, there's a lot to play for here with Atlanta going to Cincy. I don't know. I would not anticipate a lot of the starters for Cincinnati going past halfway, considering that they don't have a whole lot to play for. So it could be an opening for Atlanta United, because Atlanta United's got to have the pedal down in this one to try to improve their standing. Montreal's at 41 points. DC's at 40, but they can't make the postseason. Red Bull's at 40, and that's your playoff bar. The eliminated DC United is your playoff bar at 40 points. Red Bull's at 40. Same number of wins, same record as Chicago Fire. They're at 7 ahead of them in goal difference. Charlotte's at 39. Remember, they've got 2 matches to go. If they win out, they're probably in the playoffs. More work for Jessica Charman, one of the busiest workers in the business. Charlotte's at 39 points, 2 matches to go. NYCFC's 38 with a match to go. Miami's eliminated at 33. Toronto's at 22, and we got some stuff on Herdman coming up also. Western Conference, St. Louis in the barn. They're good. Number 1 seed. Congratulations to them. Then the chaos. LAFC's at 51. Seattle's at 50. Houston is at 48. RSL's at 47, 13 wins. Vancouver is at 47, 12 wins. Portland is at 43, 11 wins. That's your top 7. Dallas, 43, 10 wins. Same record as San Jose, 5 ahead of them in goal difference. That's your playoff bar right now. That's your top 9. Kansas City's at 41 points. And obviously, we'll get into the matchups and the juice boxes as we get later in the week. Kansas City's at 41 points, 11 wins. Minnesota's at 41 points, 10 wins. Austin eliminated at 38. LA's eliminated at 36. Colorado is eliminated at 27. So congratulations, Toronto. You get the wooden spoon. I don't know if we can give like other cutlery for Colorado, but I mean, after you disposed of Robin Frazier, something has happened where you're not wooden spoon. And you've actually won games on the road this year. By the way, Toronto and how bad things are for Toronto. 0-13-4 on the road. 0-13-4. That takes some special talent right there. 0-13-4. And since we're in the MLS discussion, article over at Waking the Red. It was an interesting. It was an interesting thought from John Herdman. Talked to Neil Davidson of the Canadian Press. He goes, "This is the future that I've dreamt of. To one day be a professional club coach, working with players of the caliber of Insigne, Bernardeschi, Johnson, Bradley, Osorio on a daily basis. As I said to the boys after the first session, I've just realized a dream today. I hate to break it to him, but Insigne, Bernardeschi, they're not going to be there. You will get to work with them for one match. If they have their way, and if you should do what is making of the most sense, they don't need to be there next season. They don't." From the staff at Waking the Red. You can understand why Herdman feels that way. He's been public both before and since getting the TFC job about his long-held desire to coach at the club level. There's also the not-so-small matter of what he's leaving behind by exiting Canada's soccer program. He admitted that the turmoil at the association was having a mental impact on him, quote. That was a big part of the shift. Enough was enough. You ended up spending 50% of your life in a political reality. And I'm not naive to think that this, meaning the TFC job, isn't political, but the day-to-day keeps you focused on what's right in front of you. As was also evidenced by his rhetoric at his TFC unveiling, the Englishman is clearly both pleased to be the new man in BMO dugout and somewhat relieved to be outside Canada Soccer's field of gravity. The key now is turning that realized dream of club management into progress, both for Herdman individually and for TFC. The next dream is winning. Quoting Herdman, the next dream is winning. And that might be a nightmare for Toronto for a while. Waking the Red, quote, "That's easier said than done. The trauma this Toronto FC team and its fans have faced over the last few years, and particularly in 23, doesn't come easy, nor can it be banished easily." Quote, Herdman says, "The scars are still open. We've got to stitch that together. The reality of what they're dealing with it, I feel for them as people. I know the fans and the observers watching this, they just want more people out. But this team has suffered. It's suffered a lot with that. There's a lot of trauma they've experienced. Sports trauma, whether people believe it or not, it's real. The belief has sort of waned out of the group. Typically, when you're not winning, the standards do drop. TFC's lowly positioned defeat at home to Orlando City in Herdman's first game in the dugout on the final day of the season on October 2 would officially give him the worst record in franchise history. New coach is encouraged by what he's seen already in his short time at the club. The response has been good. I've been very surprised. Already I'm seeing some movement forward. It's positive. We're inheriting a good staff, and there's only small things we're going to need to change. There's only small things we're going to need to change in the team and around the team. Small things like what? Like I said, this is the interview that Herdman gave Neil Davidson of the Canadian Press. There's only small things we're going to need to change in the team and around the team, but there are big changes on the field, and I think that's going to take time. He cautioned, suggesting it will take an initial 3 or 4 month period just to shift the mentality. Many TFC fans, in all honesty, once again, this is Waking the Red wrapping up, wouldn't be surprised if it takes far longer than that. There's clearly talent at the club, but something is rotting, creating and perpetuating a weakness at the very foundations of the club. Culture reset is the term that's been thrown around a lot. Whether or not you like hearing that phrase, Herdman is a pretty good candidate to make it a reality. You certainly can't fault his enthusiasm. Traditionally, I'm the kind of guy that will sit there and give a team to the quarter pole of a season, so 9 or 10 matches in, to sit there and go, yeah, okay, changes in, changes out, I get it, and here's, kind of where you are as a club. John Herdman has never coached at the club level, at the team level. He's done national stuff. He's never done this before. Never done this before. So you're either going to have to be really patient or it's going to be messy in a hurry. So here's your contract decisions that have to be made for Toronto FC. You got to keep an eye on Bradley. Keep an eye on Tomas Romero. Keep an eye on Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy. End of this year, Vasquez, CJ Sapong, Ranjit Singh backup keeper, Akinola, Christian Gutierrez, Richie Larea, who just fell down again, Jordan Peruzza, Jordan Faria, Imi Mabika, Lucas McNaughton, was moved on, Temi Antonolu, TFC2, Altabelli. Obviously, we talk about Franco Ibarra as well, who gets loaned back out or doing whatever. He's not playing in the last game of the year. Curich, Kosi Thompson, Hugo Mbonge, Jesus Batis, Luka Gavran, who's with the twos, Alonso Coelho, Perlman, Stefanovic, Simmermancic. Adama Diamande is injured. He's 24. Sean Johnson injured, 24. Latif Blessing, 24. Osorio's 25, and Insigne Bernardeschi 26. Cassius Mailula's at 26. If you're smart financially, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. Abby wants to know if folks are going to Cincy. Michael, I will. I will run through the playoff schedule. First round starts on the 28th. Franco Ibarra. Franco Ibarra and minutes played in Toronto. Clubs. Let's get to Toronto and their statistics here. I feel like I need to have some hold music or something when I chase after this stuff. Let's see. Resources, news and media, schedule. Let's see. Maybe if I just clicked on Transfermarkt, maybe I could do it that way. Yeah, if I perhaps had clicked on Transfermarkt, I could have done that. All right, so Transfermarkt, Toronto FC. Franco Ibarra. Clicking on Franco Ibarra. I'm waiting for things to load. And like I said, I feel like I need hold music in these kinds of situations. Morning, Ricky. And Rich, you're not wrong. You're really not wrong. Current season stats for Franco Ibarra. $24 in Major League Soccer, 1 in Leagues Cup. As I sit here and try to fish through lines of demarcation, 7 matches, 1 yellow, 441 minutes. 90 minutes when he started. He played 2 games consecutively, 90 and 45. Played all 90 minutes at Chicago on July 16th. Then you had an international break. 45 minutes at home against Montreal, August 21st. On the bench, didn't play against Columbus. At home, August 31st, played the full 90. Against Philly. September 17, played 67. 4 days later, played 64. On the bench for the third match in a week on the 24th, didn't play against NYC at NYC. 21 minutes at home against Cincinnati in a 3-2 loss. On the bench 4 days later, played 64 minutes against Red Bulls. 7 matches, 441 minutes, 1 yellow card. So that's what happened with Franco Ibarra in 7 matches after the deal. And to Rich, to your point, nothing matters at TFC except how much money MLSE will throw at it. Anything Herdman says is just words. And Rich, you're not wrong. Trust me, you're not wrong. No, John didn't hit a no button. I got a notification. Get this. As I was talking, literally, I get this notification that was about this long in the Twitch pitch. It basically says we're having problems connecting to Twitch. So that was how that happened. Not my fault. I didn't hit a no button. Did not hit a no button. No, not me. But yeah, Rich, to your point, I think that you've got to get rid of the big names. You've got to send Insigne and Bernadeschi home. Just go. It didn't work. I want to know the kind of players that Herdman wants to bring in. I want to know the money that MLSE is going to spend. I really do. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to find out what this is all about. So, Ricky trying to do the math this morning. Falcons play the Vikings at the Benz on November 5. The only time it could play it is on November 4. No, we're not starting over. We're not starting over, Alex. Come on now. Union Atlanta United match, maybe you can stay the next day for the Falcons as well. And Rich, you know that folks would be more than happy to see you. You know they would. All right, so playoff schedule. Do we have anything resembling a playoff schedule yet? Let me see if we have the grid laid out. The Audi Cup playoffs explained. I don't want video version. I want it written down. It's like a 2-minute thing that they've got figured out on the playoffs. I don't want that. I want the actual notifications. But so we'll see what the layout of the land is. But once again, it's going to be dictated. It's going to be dictated by your new TV partner. And in some cases, a venue that only has one opportunity for it. So we will see what it looks like. But no, it will be very, 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 very intriguing to see what it looks like when it comes to everything that's laid out. You click on something and you sit there. It's like, maybe this will give it to me. No, didn't give it to me. Nope, didn't give it to me. You don't get a playoff bracket. You get nothing. Nothing's getting done here for MLSsoccer.com. I'm clicking on as many things as I can come up with, trying to come up with playoff scenarios and all that kind of stuff. If it started today, all that kind of stuff. If the playoffs started today, we know what it would look like. But once again, 8-9 is your wild card. 1 gets that, 2, 7, 3, 6, and 4, 5, and they don't reseed. They don't reseed. MLS Cup, we do know, is December 9. Playoffs begin October 25, 26 with your wild cards. All games can be watched on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, by the way. 1 through 7 qualify for the round 1 best of 3s. The 8 and 9 get the wild card matches. What should you know? We know decision day. Wild card matches are October 25 and 6. Round 1 best of 3 go from October 28 to November 12. Semis and finals from November 25 to December 3. MLS Cup presented by Audi is December 9. Wild card. Now, here's where the fun starts. Here's your math. Here's your math. 2 single-game elimination matches hosted by the higher seed in the 8-9s. If the score of a wild card game is tied at the end of regulation, immediately to PKs. Winner of each wild card match plays the 1. Round 1 best of 3. Every round 1 match will have a winner. No ties, no aggregate. Home, away, home. Higher seed, lower seed, higher seed. No extra time. You go straight to the penalty spot. First team to win 2 matches advances. 4 teams from each conference go. Conference semis, single elimination, hosted by the higher seed. If a score is tied, then you get the 2 15-minute extra times. Then you get PKs. And they don't reseed. That to me is the first thing that I'm like, 1-8-9 plays 4-5, 3-6 plays 2-7. You don't reseed. Conference semi, single elimination. Yeah, restart your stream. Hit refresh. Yes. So, no reseeding. No reseeding in all of this. Conference final, single elimination, hosted by the higher seed. Tied at the end of regulation, you get your 2 15-minute extra times. Score is still tied, you go to PKs. MLS Cup, once again, single match, 2 15s. If it's tied, you go to PKs. So round 1, home away home. Higher seed gets 2. First team to win 2 matches advances. So that's what it looks like with that's what you're hunting for. Michael, such a simple it's a joke, yeah. So, yes, it's chaos. And apparently so is Twitch this morning. Twitch took a little while for it to, yes, absolutely, Hutch, it was a Twitch glitch. A Twitch glitch on the Twitch pitch. So, Ricky doing math. Wild card game will either be Wednesday the 25th, could be Thursday the 26th. First round starts that weekend. Rich is saying that there are $50 Falcon tickets. Who do you want in the first round? You guys are talking about it already. Who do you want? Who do you want? Who do you want to play in the first round? Frankly, I want Philly. I've said it, and I'll say it again. I want Philly. Rich, I want Philadelphia. Who do you guys want in the first round? Well, that'll be a continual topic here this week. Who do you want? Looking forward to it. I want to see what the responses are. 10 minutes. Bart Keeler will be joining us. 4-card wants Philly. Like I said, Rich, I think that you're going to have your team is going to be circled and crosshaired in this. I think you really are. I think you really are going to be in the crosshairs of a lot of Atlanta United fans. Since we got 10 minutes, let's go over the lower division stuff before we get into Bart Keeler joining us at 10 o'clock to talk national team. Golden Boot and USL Championship went to Albert Dikwa in Pittsburgh. You had craziness on the final day. Once again, we'll get into this in more detail on the USL Championship Week in Review show. That'll be up tomorrow. But Eastern Conference, Detroit City drew Pittsburgh on the last day at Keyworth. And so they get a rematch since the Miami FC could not do anything in Sacramento. So it's Detroit at Pittsburgh. Memphis 901, for those of you that are keeping an eye on Stephen Glass, they get Lou City. That's your match of the first round. Memphis 901 hosting Lou City. That's big. Charleston, your 3, hosting Indianapolis, the Indy 11, and Tampa Bay hosting Birmingham. That's Eastern Conference. Western Conference, Sacramento, New Mexico. You had drama in the getting in part in both the East and the West. New Mexico United gets in as the 8, so they get to go to Sacramento. San Antonio as a 4 seed. San Antonio and Colorado Springs. That's going to be a big one as a 4-5. And then second round, you'd have San Antonio and Sacramento if chalk holds. San Diego Loyal in their last season ever, they get to host Phoenix Rising. And Orange County, who signed a new 10-year lease to play in Irvine, California, they get El Paso in the opening round. New Mexico and El Paso won on the final week of the regular season. Detroit City jumped into the last place in the East since Miami lost to Sacramento. Pittsburgh will try to become the second team in as many seasons to end the campaign with the best record and win the title. But, yeah, Lou City going to Memphis 901. That's going to be big. Defending champs San Antonio play host to Colorado Springs in the Western Conference Final redo. For those of you that will be paying attention and will be watching on Saturday, in addition to everything else on all your devices, multiple devices are required. Memphis and Lou City's at 6:30 Saturday. Pittsburgh, Detroit City's at 7. Tampa Bay hosting Birmingham at 7:30 at Al Lang. Sunday in the East, it is Charleston at 4 o'clock hosting Indy 11. Western Conference quarters, San Antonio at 9 o'clock hosting Colorado Springs. Sacramento hosting New Mexico United at 10. Orange County hosting El Paso at 10:30. Sunday at 10, San Diego and Phoenix. So that's your opening round there. In USL League One, Tormenta didn't make it. They drew on the last day. Trevor Ammon for Northern Colorado got League One Golden Boot with a record-breaking season there for Hailstorm. But with all the drama that happened in the last day, Union Omaha is now the first club to win the Players' Shield twice. Forward Madison lost on the last day, but South Georgia Tormenta needed to win to hopscotch them, and they couldn't do that. They couldn't get that result in Charlotte. They drew in Charlotte, out of the playoffs by 1 point, so we will have a new champ. Forward Madison goes to Northern Colorado in the quarters. Greenville and Charlotte on the right-hand side. That's going to be a fun one. Charlotte and Greenville. And once again, Charlotte, Greenville is your 4-5. Northern Colorado, Madison is your 3-6. Omaha is your number 1. North Carolina FC is your number 2. USL League One does reseed. So, lowest remaining seed will go to Omaha, and then the other will go to North Carolina. But you've got North Carolina. You've got the possibility right now. You've got North Carolina FC, Charlotte Independence, Greenville Triumph. You could have, if chalk holds, or if you get an upset, if say Forward Madison wins, then you could have teams from North Carolina and South Carolina playing each other in back-to-back weeks or back-to-back sessions. So your playoff bracket is set as Union Omaha wins it twice. Quarterfinals Friday, Charlotte hosting Greenville at 7:30. Saturday, Northern Colorado hosting Forward Madison at 9 o'clock. Semis are next Saturday, the 28th. NWSL. You want stupid? Stupid. Lou City's at Memphis. Yeah, Lou City is at Memphis in the opening round. Crazy. But you want crazy yesterday? Absolutely nuts was the NWSL. It was absolutely crazy yesterday. You ended up with a whip-around show that they were doing on CBS Sports Network. All 6 games were playing at once, but they've got to do a better job of syncing the second halves. Everybody starts at the same time. Everybody needed to start the second half at the same time because you had games that were all over the place in the second half. It was a great idea, but it was great to see all 12 teams going at the same time. But, yeah, it was crazy yesterday with who's in, who's out. I mean, literally you had to go to math and like 3 points over. You had to do math. But here's how it wrapped up. Gotham in, Angel City, who just thumped Portland in, OL Reign in with a big win on the road in Chicago. North Carolina Courage in with their win. Trinity Rodman got a red card in the 22nd minute, I believe. So Washington was down a player, having to come back and win, because if they won, then they would have been in. Gotham goes to Wake Med. Angel City goes to OL Reign. Then you get 3-6 and 4-5, and they don't reseed. So North Carolina, Gotham winner goes to Portland on Sunday, November 5th. We'll try to track down Jen Hildreth, and we'll see if we can get Jen to talk about it. And then Angel City. Then if you haven't seen the Sidney LaRue bicycle kick, I'll probably play the audio for you. It's crazy. Angel City was rolling. Sidney LaRue was just like, okay, I'll do that. And she had a bicycle kick at an acute angle. It was ridiculous. It's out there. Then the 4-5, Reign and Angel City, winner of that one, gets San Diego at Snapdragon on Sunday, the 5th of November, as a part of a doubleheader. So San Diego puts up a big number. They end up with the Shield. Portland gets thumped. They had a chance at the Shield, didn't get it. They had a chance. So here's how things finished points-wise. San Diego, 2 points clear of Portland. Like I said, Portland had a chance once again to get the Shield on the last day of the season, and they got thumped by Angel City. Courage finished third. Reign finished fourth at 32. Angel City finished fifth at 31. Gotham finished sixth at 31. And literally, you had to go down past goal difference because Angel City and Gotham had the same goal difference, and then you go to head-to-head. Orlando out on goal difference. Orlando, 31 points, and they had the third most wins in the NWSL. They were 10-11-1. They had more wins than 4 of the 6 teams that made it into the playoffs, and they don't make it to the postseason. Orlando, 10-11-1. They don't make the postseason. Washington loses 30 points. They're out. And then Racing Louisville out at 27. Houston out at 26. They needed a win and some help. Current out at 26. Red Stars out at 24. So madness and craziness in the NWSL. And I'm not kidding. I was one of those guys that literally was glued to the whip around show that they had on CBS Sports Network. And within the first 5 minutes, there were 5 goals scored. I'm not kidding. But great work by the NWSL to have that as a program to make sure that you could see the final day of what was going on. Bart Keeler coming up around the corner. And since he is coming up around the corner, I guess I may as well do this now instead of at 10 o'clock because then Bart will have been waiting for like 4 minutes. We'll go ahead and do this. Bart's going to go get his morning cup of coffee while I read a promo. And I've got to adjust my volume appropriately so I'm not blowing myself out or blowing you out as I talk about our friends from Eliminize. Rotor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's Eliminize service. That's what it says right here in my promo copy. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Eliminize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process, and thank you, Ricky, for telling me what that was. Makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment. We like that these days. Offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either above us in the cupboard or below us under the sink. Because when you were to reach for those, you reach and you grab that masking agent. You sit there and you spray the masking agent in the air. There's a reason it's called a masking agent. You're masking the odor. You're not attacking the problem like our friends at Eliminize Service do with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, either by the cubic foot or parts per million to come up with a price that is affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place that you need to go is the website. And this is where I grab my pen. ELIMINIZE.com/Atlanta, lemonize.com/Atlanta. We just ask that you do the /Atlanta after the .com so our folks at Lemonize know what part of the world that you are asking them to help you with your problem. Lemonize.com/Atlanta. Lemonize Service. Proud sponsors of everything SDH, proud sponsors of everybody who wants odor-free, clean, fresh air on a Monday or any other day of the week for that matter. See, now I just wish that when you hit the fader, it would fade on its own, but it doesn't do that. They don't do that. So this is it's now after 10 o'clock, which means one thing. We bring in Bart. And Bart, are you on the road, sir?
Coming to you live from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay. So do I even ask, pray tell, what's going on in Raleigh, North Carolina?
I had a wedding this past weekend, but I'm moving today.
Yes, that is true.
My wedding.
You're a little gargly, by the way.
It could be I'm using earbuds. I don't know.
Wow, Abby's yelling at you to fix your audio. Wow.
Let's see. It could also be the. Let me try to fix it.
All right. Bart's going to try to fix his audio. It's a Monday, and he's busting out his Lenore Ryan gear. Oh no, Abby, I know you were not in all caps. You were not yelling, but it was a wedding. Rich says he heard either wedding or wake. It was a wedding. It was not Bart's wedding, but it was at somebody else's wedding that Bart was at. So it was Abby, because it was a mommy tone. As Bart is feverishly trying to figure out how to fix things. We're going to talk to Bart about the USMNT and how completely and totally off the rails it should be with what happened on the weekend. It was a tale of 245s. This much we do know. And we've got our ratings, which we know always really gets Bart sideways when it comes to what people think. Because, wow, Hutch is saying go to closed captioning, and Rich wants you to use cue cards. Wow. It's a Monday audience, man. That is, in fact, a Monday audience. Wow. So here's what we're going to talk about. It was two halves. It was two halves. Oh, okay. So all right. So let's try this. How about now?
Maybe it's better.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Turn your phone sideways.
Yeah, there you go. Well, then if I turn it sideways, the problem is All right. Sorry, I was on the crappy hotel Wi-Fi. So
there we go. All right. So Hutch was looking at you, and he wants you to not take his picture. So there we go. There it is. All right. So Bart's going to prop up his stuff. And morning, Nix. Morning, Abby. There we go. Now Bart was at a wedding, not his own, in North Carolina this past weekend. And how much of the action were you able to just pay attention? Did you actually get time away from? Were you like the guy in the corner? Who was?
No, luckily I got home. I missed, like you described, the opening minutes of like 27 goals in 10 minutes, and unfortunately I missed that. I didn't get back to the hotel until about 5:30, so I got to watch plenty of goals scored by Angel City.
Yes,
but yeah, I did miss the first opening minutes, but I was keeping up with it on my phone. I was actually at the wedding. There was a girl there who is a Courage fan, and so we were chatting about NWSL soccer. It's just like, I really hope we win so we make it to the playoffs, and they did.
Yes, it was absolutely nuts. But the idea that Orlando was third in the league in wins, the third team in double figures in wins, and they don't make the postseason. That's how stupid yesterday was.
Yeah, it was. I think I was actually most shocked at. I think Orlando was the one that was most shocking. Also Washington, but they've been struggling all year. But you just think with the amount of talent they have, they would get into the playoffs. This is 2 years in a row without them. Orlando falling short when all that, that was quite surprising. And honestly, the shock result was that Angel City not necessarily beating Portland,
Woo!
smacking them up and down the field, because that was a beatdown especially considering Portland was out there trying to win the NWSL Shield.
And they didn't again.
I
mean, if
Yep.
you're a Portland fan, are you banging your head against the wall again?
Yeah, I mean, look, that goes back to that question that we just had a couple weeks ago about MLS. Would you rather win the Shield or the Cup?
Cup.
Portland's got a cup. I think they'll be okay.
So as you look at things now with the survivors of Decision Day, where are your juice boxes right now? I mean, you look at Angel City, and Angel City, obviously they would be a trendy pick because of catching fire the way that they have. But then you have the playoff savviness of the teams toward the top. But what are you looking at right now with the NWSL?
Well, I still think when you look at who the favorites are, for me, it's still San Diego and Portland. They've been good all season. I don't think that's going to change. What I am interested to see is how Angel City can keep things going. I'm interested to see North Carolina, who, especially with Sean Nayes, who's gotten a lot of praise this year, to see how they can adapt for playoff time, because it is different. And he has done great things with that team, unexpected things with that team. And I think they, again, trying to ride that wave of emotion of getting into the playoffs to see if they can use that. But really, I'm looking at San Diego. I'm looking at Portland. Everyone else is just there, in my opinion.
Well, and we'll hold you to it. But yeah, yesterday was chaos, and it was fun to see that. Like I said, it was the first Decision Day whip around. Obviously, there's some things that hopefully the league and their broadcast partners can take from it and learn and grow with that.
Have we talked about the plethora of options that NWSL is getting itself into? Did you see that report?
No, I have not, sir. What is it?
So their media rights for next year and beyond.
Right.
They have. This has just been reported, not necessarily rumored, but reported. Nothing has been confirmed from the league, but they're getting in bed with. They're staying in bed with Paramount Plus.
Right.
Also going to get into it with ESPN. We're not quite sure what any of these details are. Also with Scripts.
Yeah.
And then I believe the other one was Amazon.
That is correct.
So interesting. I'm hoping they keep the Paramount Plus streaming package. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that ESPN means they're going to get some games on ESPN on occasion. But I personally, and I know this is kind of a minority opinion in women's soccer fandom, but I thought the Paramount Plus setup was the best option for the league.
Right.
And I actually think having too many places like this might be a problem. We saw with MLS how having Univision, ESPN, Fox, you never know where was what. I'm hopeful that they can continue to keep Paramount as their main partner, because I think that is going to create easier watching for the fans.
Yeah, and I think that, yesterday I think was the prime example of that. Once again, where you had your network partner, and it wasn't on Paramount Plus. At least you could probably have accessed Paramount Plus, but you accessed it at CBS Sports Network, which is more of a cable linear approach than having to go and chase it someplace. It's like you knew you had an over-the-air cable partner. You could go there. You had games that were available in other places, but you could go to that one location, get your one-stop shop, and have your whip around available there, where you're not having folks fishing and trying to find it.
Absolutely. Exactly. And I think they need to be careful to not get into that. But yesterday was a good day for the league. I thought that was very entertaining. I think if I'm looking at any team that they need to make changes this offseason, is Washington Spirit. Because again, you're 2 years without a playoff appearance. Michelle Kang did not buy that team to be not in the playoffs.
Oh, no.
And you've done a lot of things on and off the field, on the field, literally moving to a better facility full time, and trying to get them to be at the top level. And you're not. This is a problem. People are going to have to be, decisions are going to be made. And when you're not making the playoffs, which is money,
yes,
then you're going to have a problem.
So you're saying that that the new slogan for NWSL is "Playoffs is money"?
Oh, I mean, I think literally the Shield. That was the only thing for Portland yesterday. Is I think players missed out on a $15,000 bonus yesterday.
That is true. That's absolutely.
I know playoffs involve a bonus as well. So yes.
Yeah. So the current deal, our friends at Sportico, and Sports Pro Media, they have the wrong consonant up. It is worth $1.5 million that CBS pays for the rights. Our friends at Sports Pro have a different consonant in that Ilian word, but it's $1.5 million.
Right.
CBS pays for the rights, and the league has to shoulder the costs for production, which we know goes through Vista down in South Florida. For those of you that watch USL Championship, USL League One, all of those mass leagues that you see the same production elements, it's done through that production house, MLS Next Pro. It's all done through that production house in South Florida. And so that's why you see the same names and same voices that are attached to it.
Yeah, that's why Mike, what's his name? Mike
Watts.
Watts. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
and I will say that is the one thing that fans that rightly have complained about is the production quality. And I think it's fair to ask for more. I think it's fair to ask for more money. And obviously that might be why they're trying to piecemeal it together to get the most money they possibly can. I just think that you need to try to keep it to one, for the most part, one provider.
Yeah. Our friends at Sports Pro Media say, if confirmed, once again with these four partners, new NWSL agreement would be worth more than the record $9.9 million US value of the Women's Super League deal with BBC and Sky in the UK. The deals are expected to run until 2027, the year after the US. And this is once again the words of Sports Pro Media. US is set to co-host the Men's FIFA World Cup with Canada and Mexico. They're still trying to figure out 27 hosts for Women's World Cup. This would allow the NWSL, this is their words, this would allow the NWSL to capitalize on any increase in popularity of the sport after the tournament and any further commercial expansion of its own league when it takes the rights to market. Once again, U.S. is also in the running to host the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup with Mexico. The average value of an NWSL franchise is now $66 million US, according to Sportico, with Angel City the most valuable at $180 million US. NWSL teams believed to have generated a combined $112 million US during the 2023 season, with an average value to revenue multiple of 7.1, far greater than many established sports leagues. And then they add the idea of Boston coming in and Bay coming in. Boston paying a reported $53 million expansion fee, which dwarfs the 2 to 5 that folks paid in 2020. So you're looking at.
I got to win that Powerball quickly because soon the expansion fee may be a little too much for me.
Well, yeah, or you could go into other leagues. Maybe you go into USLS, you go into USLW, something like that. You go work your way there, get multiple franchises, work your way through there.
Hey, I did see a girl when I was flying. When did I fly out? Saturday. A girl, young girl, maybe 6 years old, wearing a Tampa Bay Rowdies scarf in the airport. And I thought that was really cool.
Yes, that is definitely. The other topic that I wanted to, when is your flight, by the way? When do you head back this way?
6:30 p.m.
Okay. I was like, wait a second. How far are you from the airport? Are we holding you up from something? Are you
No, I'm going to check out of my hotel at 11, walk to the Waffle House right next door, and spend a good few minutes few hours there and then head to the airport.
See, Abby, being the Fort Lauderdale Strikers fan here amongst us, noticed the.
Yeah, I know she hates the Rowdies. How's the Strikers doing there, Abby?
Not while I'm drinking my morning. As we always do.
John, I have a question for you before we get into U.S. soccer or U.S. men's national team. Why weren't you on the ESPN call for the Buford Mill Creek game? I was hoping to hear your voice, man.
All I'm gonna say is that all I know is that there's 20 seconds left in the game. That's all I'm gonna say. Did I say that out loud? So yeah, it was. We had a great game. Hiram and Cartersville, 35-34. Folks got to see the whole thing. Who knew? All right. So since we are in an international window, USA and Germany. And I have said that this is a tale of two halves. And in front of 37,743 at Pratt & Whitney Stadium in Rentschler Field, a fantastic venue for U.S. soccer. U.S. they end up, with a lead from Christian Pulisic, and then they don't end up with a lead by the time the match is over. 3-1 by the time it's done. From 30,000 feet before we get into actual individual stuff, what did you think?
I mean, I think if anyone is trying to somehow make this because Greg Berhalter sucks, I think we have to just understand that we're still not at that level. And no amount of coaching is going to make the individual players vastly better. I mean, we don't have an Elke Gundogan on this team. No. As much as I like Matt Turner, he's not Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. And that's just we're just not there.
Yeah.
We don't have a Musiala. We don't have a Sane. And we do have good players, and our players are progressing very well. But I think this one was more of a matter of, yes, coaching could have helped. I think people do expect more in-game decisions from Greg to try to win friendlies, which is not the way that he approaches them. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he's not trying to win. I think that we just see that he is trying to get the best evaluation of his team. And so that doesn't mean you're going to change you're not going to change and somehow put 3 forwards up top to try to get a win late against Germany. It's just not going to happen, But I thought, like you said, the first 40 minutes were very good. Mm-hmm. We caused problems for a German team that we know they're not that good right now. They've been down. But the other thing is, Julian Nagelsmann's a better coach than Greg Berhalter. That's why he costs more money.
Better dresser, too, by the way.
I enjoyed his flannel shirt jacket on the sideline. That was kind of nice. But it's just I think people, there's a lot of fans who are very upset about that match. And I watched it and I went, okay, I can see where we can be better. But I also see how we looked pretty darn good against Germany in a friendly that was, I don't want to say it didn't matter, but it's just a friendly,
Yeah, and that's, when did, in the time that you have been watching U.S. national team soccer,
right?
When did, I guess, the switch flip to wanting immediate results, or has it been something literally in every window? Is there an immediate result that is anticipated?
Yeah, I think the problem that we've had with this always from the U.S. perspective, at least as far as I can remember since 2002, right, is American soccer fans have treated the U.S. soccer teams kind of as their club team. Mm-hmm. That we're getting away from that now with obviously a lot more MLS and USL markets. So people are getting actual professional soccer in front of their eyeballs way more often. But a lot of people look at the U.S. team as their club team, their team. And so whether it's a friendly or not, you want to win. And people they also expect that this means the U.S. I mean, I think the thing that we can go back to continually is as much as U.S. Soccer takes money from me personally and other fans to attend their matches,
Yeah.
we're still behind the eight ball when it comes to funding, when it comes to revenue, when it comes to being able to pay for the top talented coaches, top to bottom, be it at the U.S. men's national team level or the U15 girls level, and that desire for immediate results, especially against, again, we could have done better. That's okay to say, but this expectation that should have beat Germany is, I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Germany's still very good. They're still a very good team. And again, I thought we played that first half very well.
All right, let's get into the numbers. And once again, this is for Bart to yell at Mike Woitala traditionally at Soccer America. We have our priorities.
Pulisic gets a 10. We'll start with that for me.
Matt Turner got a 6. Held on to a pair of hard-struck shots well within reach. Third save required a quick reflex dive, swatted a dangerous cross away. Late in the second half, charged far outside the penalty area to intercept a cross-field pass to yet another wide-open German winger on the counter. On the goals, all from close range, his efforts fell below the heroic stopping them would have required.
I had a couple of issues with Matt Turner yesterday, but overall he was fine.
Okay. Defenders. Scally got a 5. Richards and Ream got 4. Serginho Dest got a 3.
Dest got cooked. And I think this is a learning experience too for Greg. And is Serginho Dest is not the best defender. We know this, right? He's not. He's even worse, I think, on that left side as a defender. Mm-hmm. And he was getting beat repeatedly. And the other problem was once he got beat, you were going into the side of Tim Ream, who is not as quick and is reluctant to truly step and press up after to recover like that. So I do think that is a criticism of Greg. But then you're telling me the other option was to swap them and put Joe Scally on the left and Serginho Dest on the right. And I don't know if that's like a magical fix either, So.
Midfield. Gio Reyna gets a 6. Yunus Musa gets a 4. Weston McKennie got a 3.
Okay. Gio was great. I think that's the first thing is Gio was fantastic. And, you could tell how much of an impact he had in the game because as soon as he exited, that's when Germany started to beat us. Yeah. I thought Musa and McKennie, again, this is a learning curve for Greg, but I don't know what the solution is because I think it's unfair to judge them for playing a position that's not their true best position, right? Being a little bit more withdrawn. But the other options that we have in camp right now, Johnny Cardoso, who looked okay, but it's definitely not Leonard Maloney. He just got here, and I think we've all known he's not the guy. It's just nice to have him. So the answer is Tyler Adams, but Tyler's not there. So they had bad games for sure. I would expect them to do better, but this is also just a matter of they are also learning how to play that position at this level. Yunus Musa's only played a handful of games as the defensive midfielder for the U.S., and McKennie's only played a handful where he's the deeper midfield. And they kind of switched in between that. So it is hard. It's harsh. It's justifiably harsh, but
yeah, I mean,
you move on.
Yeah, and so at forward, Tim Weah gets a 6, Balogun got a 5, and Christian Pulisic. Mike Woitala gave him 3 less than you did. Pulisic got a 7.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, look, the goal is fantastic. We still need to figure out why he is the person taking all of our set pieces because, again, they're not that good, especially his corner kick delivery. But I thought the forwards actually did a good job of, again, we created chances against them. We created chances against the Germany team to the point where you could have left that first half and said we could have had 2 goals, even outside of the penalty kick, which wasn't a penalty kick. You created chances and had opportunities against a Germany team you just did not have the final bit of quality to get the ball in the back of the net when you created chances inside their box, and they did.
Subs, and like I said, once again, this is traditionally a limited number of minutes, and so the numbers traditionally aren't all that high. De La Torre, Pepe, Aronson, CCV, Johnny, and Kevin Paredes each got 4s.
Oh, that's harsh on Brendo. I thought Brendan Aronson was pretty decent yesterday. I would have given him a 5 or a 6. I know minutes play into that, but I thought he was actually pretty good yesterday. I don't think any of the other subs stood out. And again, Luka I would have rated lower, but that's just me going, okay, Luka came into the game, which again is your next best option as a midfielder. So this is where I want to take some heat off of Greg. And I'm not trying to defend him. It's just like, okay, what did you want him to do? Who does he put there?
Yeah.
Because you can't play Gio 60 minutes. We knew this going into the match. So then you put in De La Torre. Great. He's a perfectly good player. He's done okay for us in the past. He wasn't up to it this game. And you could tell the drop-off. That's not Greg's fault. That's not even Luka's fault. That's just the reality of what our player pool still is compared to what we have this idea that it should be.
Stats on the day, Germany had 19 shots to 6, 7 on target to 3 for the U.S. Matt Turner made 4 saves on the day. Ter Stegen made 2. 7-4 the U.S. had in corner kick advantage. 11 fouls by Germany, 3 by the U.S. 3 offside calls on the U.S. compared to 2 for Germany. Possession 60-40 for Germany on the day. And it sounds like somebody's ride is there at the hotel. But folks on the Twitch pitch, Rich says we're the United States of America. How are we not good at soccer still? That's what folks are seemingly saying at points. You know, it's
yeah. I mean, we are good at soccer.
Yeah,
we're just not at that level.
Yeah,
and I think people took the Jurgen Klinsmann era and thought, oh, we can beat these teams in friendlies. But we never really beat them when it came time to actually beat them. But we've had success against high level teams before, sure. Today, Saturday, 2 days ago.
Yeah,
2 days ago. What year is it? 2 days ago wasn't a day that we were able to capture the best of what we had created.
Right.
Because that shot stat, I don't love shots as like a telling of like who dominated the game, but that shot stat is telling of we were not able to create actual goal scoring chances from the dangerous moments we created. Germany was.
Nick says that Turner didn't play great, in his opinion, responsible for at least 1 goal. The wings were
I agree.
For the center backs.
So I agree that Turner, I don't necessarily want to say he was responsible because I hate putting that on the goalkeeper when every other defender in front of them has failed. But yeah, I agree. I thought Turner got a little out of position and he was a little undisciplined and impatient when it came to kind of trying to save some of the 1v1 opportunities that Germany created. Center backs were not good. I mean, I think we all knew that was going to happen when Greg put up a lineup and said Miles was starting, and then he said, just kidding. And so if you want to blame Greg for something, it's that. He should have played Miles Robinson, which I is tongue-in-cheek because I'm an Atlanta fan, but also Tim Ream is not the answer going forward. It's just he's been good. Thank you for being good and coming to our defense, to our need during the World Cup. Very great. We needed him. He is not the answer going forward. So why aren't we looking at, and we saw a little bit of it with CCV and Chris Richards, but why couldn't Miles or CCV started next to Chris Richards instead of forcing Tim Ream? I'm not saying it would have, I'm not saying it means we don't lose 3-1. I think that we don't lose as badly. I don't think the first goal happens because the way Des gets beat, then Ream gets beat, and Richards gets beat, it was a domino effect once that happened. I don't think that if you have Miles or CCV, they're losing that challenge in that moment.
Abby has a question that I'll get to, and I'm going to view it as a rhetorical question when we get to it.
Oh boy. Okay.
Nick says that Gio is good going forward, but he does not defend. He's a forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an attacking player. The boy's going to attack.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
he does defend. He doesn't defend back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like Thiago Almada doesn't defend behind this halfway line.
Yeah.
He defends up high.
Yeah, he'll defend, but there's a difference between, say, somebody like a Georgi Giacomakis, who you will see at the back line running his ass off, going all the way as far back. So understood there. Abby, do you think they should bring in Lennon at right back? No, you don't.
I think the problem for Brooks Lennon is right back is one of the few places that we actually have depth. Right, so Junior Dest is your number one, no doubt.
So then
he's also apparently still your second choice left back.
So then,
but Joe Scally is a better player than Brooks Lennon. I'm sorry, he just is.
So then what do you do at left back then?
Well, you have Jedi Robinson.
Yeah, and
then that is one thing that I do criticize Greg is we again, it's not necessarily his fault because it's not like we can just create a left back out of thin air, but we haven't really tried to find that left back option behind Jedi. And so, again, that was my issue with Dest there is we've tried this and we know it's not the best thing. Why not put Scally there?
Okay.
Test him because we know he can play left back. Why not in this game did you not play DeJuan Jones or Christopher Lund or put Paredes at left back for an actual spell of time, not I don't even remember how many minutes he got. It was
not a cup of coffee, basically.
He got a cup of coffee and a donut. Congrats. Which is always good, but not testing who your left back option is. I understand the love for Brooks Lennon. I am Brooks's greatest supporter here in Atlanta because I know everyone hates the fact that he replaced someone who people think is God's gift to right backs, apparently. But I do not think Brooks fits in at the men's national team level right now because behind even Scally, you're looking at guys like Brian Reynolds. You're looking at, I'm not saying I wouldn't give him a call up, and maybe he'll get a call up in for one of these, either December or January camps. I'm not sure which one we'll be having this year, maybe both. But I don't think he makes us better. So what's the point of bringing him in? I don't think he beats out any of the players that we have currently at that right back position. And you're only bringing two on a roster. Mm-hmm. So,
all right. So then,
sorry to be a buzzkill about it, but
no. So
it just is.
All right. So then, multiple part question: would you bring Brooks into camp?
Yeah, like I said, I think I would like to see him. I would have liked to have seen him actually at the Gold Cup last summer. Not because I think he was better than necessarily Brian Reynolds, who played the most of the minutes. I think he would have been. I would like to see him more than I would like to see DeAndre Yedlin. Let's put it that way. I would like to see him in one of these domestic-based camps because I would like to see where he ranks and stacks up, right? Again, I think numbers 1 and 2 are pretty set on the depth chart. 3 and behind, a little more unsettled. So why can't he get a chance to become the third option? The other thing that we have to consider is DeJuan Jones, who Greg clearly likes, is a right-footed player who plays on the left side. So he can play right back. So again, we're looking at you have 3 guys in your pool who can do both work on the left and right. I like Brooks, and I know people want to call for him from Atlanta. I just don't think he fits when you consider what type of roster you build. Maybe you can call him in for a January camp cupcake.
So then Abby's follow-up question is a left-back question, and I guess it's multi-part. How many years before they bring in more younger players, and what about Caleb Wiley at left-back?
Well, Abby, I think your question is a little misguided because Caleb Wiley has been called up during this entire window. But he's playing for the U23s because that's the progression that we're on, right? So we have an Olympic tournament in 2024, and you're seeing Berhalter, Crocker, the USMNT program They called up Caleb Wiley. He is clearly part of the national team picture. But right now, he, Tolkien, others are focused on the Paris Olympics next summer. And that's fine, because Caleb Wiley is not necessarily going to beat out. He's not beating out Jedi or Dest at left back right now. Sergiño Dest, while he's not a great defender, does amazing things when he gets forward. And watching him being able to combine, that's something that Caleb is still working on, obviously. But no, Caleb Wiley is in that picture. Caleb Wiley, John Tolkien. We've seen Tolkien especially get called up to the Gold Cup last summer. Wiley got called up to the El Cashico in April. So Caleb is part of the plans. Do not worry about if we're not calling up Caleb Wiley. Caleb Wiley is part of the U.S. men's national team plans. Right now, though, his job is Olympics 2024.
Jarrett Smith is now hanging out with us here on a Monday. So, Jarrett, we're discussing the world falling down around us when it comes to the U.S. losing to Germany. Bart's with us from Raleigh.
Okay, well, they did lose. It's a thing that happens.
Jarrett, why doesn't Greg have better players than Germany?
Man, you know what? Let me go dust off my copy of Das Reboot, and I will let you know.
Why don't we have Gundogan? Why don't we have Asane? Why don't we have a Musiala?
Look. The Germans gave you Jermaine Jones. What else do you want?
I know, right?
Gave you Jermaine Jones and his Hobbit-level walkabouts through Middle Earth, i.e. the midfield, just leaving Michael Bradley to defend the entire flank by himself. Just standing there like Jon Snow in front of the army, all by himself defending the back line because Jermaine Jones is somewhere, in the wastes, chasing a ball or, I don't know, a light that he saw or a sound that he heard. But
all while picking up the yellow cards.
All while picking up yellow cards. Or my favorite red card ever is the one he picked up when the Galaxy got dismantled in 2017 in Atlanta, where Tito Villalba legitimately committed an orange card foul on him.
Yes.
And then he kicked out to get sent off. Tito committed a pretty heavy foul. Could have gotten sent off if the ref wanted to. And instead, Jermaine kicks out so he gets to get sent off. Probably because he looked around in that game, because that was also the game. I think Yamil Assad had 2 goals and an assist and just burned LA to the ground. Mm-hmm. I wonder if he just looked around and went, I'm not doing this for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I got better things to do.
Yeah.
And dude took 90 minutes to just walk off. He's good for walkabouts when he's playing, but then after he gets the red in that match, he's just he's taking pictures. I mean, literally, he's just he's being a tourist. He's just oh, okay, hi, how y'all doing? And literally taking his time, and he tries to go out the center exit, and they had to point the tunnel to him. It's no, bruh, you got to go out that way. And he took another 5 minutes.
It's just great. It's just magic. This is where the magic happens. So when someone asks you to go behind the scenes at it's a small world after all ride, this is where the animatronics exist. Somewhere in the yes. And to answer Michael's question, no, I didn't think the U.S. was going to beat Germany. I also don't care as much because you're kind of in these transitional stages right now. In between tournaments, I want to see who has these feel like show me something games for a lot of countries. Now, for some countries in Europe, they're qualifying for the Euros. They're all beating each other to death with sickles right now.
Yeah, kind of busy.
U.S. just kind of hey, man, show me what you got. Hey, you come into camp. Show me. Have you gotten better since the last time we talked? How you doing chemistry-wise? Christian, how's it going at AC Milan? Because everyone else at AC Milan seems to be having their pets' heads falling off. But you seem to be doing well. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, though, is some of these players, it was a check-in. I mean, look, Gio Reyna hasn't been playing soccer for the last, 12 years, it seems like. Mm-hmm. And you saw him on Saturday look pretty darn good. That's the positive, I thought, to your point, Christian looked pretty darn good against a good Germany team. Leia looked his normal self. I thought he was a little less impactful, but he was still very good. You had bright spots. I think that's the thing that's bothering me is like people, yes, the second half looked bad, but you looked really good against the German team. And then unfortunately you had to sub out Gio Reyna and things fell apart.
Michael also asks, speaking of dollars, I wonder how much money the M&T could make if they played a match at Mercedes-Benz and priced the tickets rationally.
Well,
yeah, that gets a big harumph out of a lot of folks. Uh-huh.
I don't like them playing at Pratt Whitney Rentschler Field.
You and about 99% of the rest of the folks.
I'm glad it was sold out, but you know why it was sold out? Because it was Germany. And the reaction to, we didn't sell out in St. Louis and Minnesota in September is like, yeah, you were playing Oman and Uzbekistan, teams that just, it's like, I'm sorry, I am not. I am president of a supporters group, and I was like, oh, these teams, great. I'm excited to watch my team play, but I certainly wouldn't have spent money to go travel for that,
No.
You could and should have played that match in a bigger stadium. You should have.
Yeah.
But is Atlanta the option?
Well, I mean, you'd have to. You let's see. If you'd gone lower bowl, it would.
Yeah, if you could do 42-5, you would have had a lot of people there. Sure, that would have been sold out.
Then you would have had to either figure out if you're bringing in the grass or you playing it on turf, and then you've got to convert the field to football for the next day.
Right. And that's the other problem with a lot of the NFL. Like with this particular one, though, is you have a lot of NFL teams playing right now. So that, especially if you want to have to be East Coast, because despite all the people in LA not wanting to hear this, you're not going to play this match in California. You have to play at East Coast.
And they had
it limits you.
And they had Club America and Chivas playing at the Rose Bowl in front of 9 gazillion people.
Yeah.
And so, Rose Bowl was kind of busy at the moment. So, I mean, you're kind of stuck, especially during college football season and NFL season, about your venues. And the fact that J.L. Mora, I guess, was on the road or was in a bye week meant that Pratt & Whitney was available. And so
I think they just moved it. I don't think UConn plays football anymore, John. You cannot convince me that they play football.
Hey, man, they were.
Unfortunately, they do, and
this is a myth, Jarrett.
Well, unfortunately, they do because they still are paying money to Jim Mora Jr. To coach a college football team.
Yeah,
they are technically. Look, Bart, you might be right. Look, it might be money laundering. The entire thing might be money laundering. Non-zero. But UConn last year had a really good season, and man, I was in hell with that information. I did not enjoy any of that.
Yeah. Well, I agree though. The concept of we probably should have played this at a better stadium and location. I agree with that. They're just NBA. I know this is not something that people want to hear in Atlanta. Mercedes-Benz Stadium is not a preferred stadium by U.S. Soccer in any means because of turf. And you can blame, and I say this with respect, but you can blame the U.S. Women's National Team for this because they made a big old stink about the terrible turf in Hawaii. And then the overcorrection was never turf. And you're not going to lay down grass for the Falcons to be at home the next day. It's just, it's just the unfortunate reality of where we're at with what NWS has to offer. I'm hopeful that if U.S. Soccer, wants, they'll be more willing to foot the bill for that in the future when their headquarters are right here. We might get 1 or 2 games.
So U.S. goes to Nashville to play at Geodis on Tuesday, and they're going to take on Ghana. 8:30 Eastern on about 75 different networks of your choice.
Yeah.
TNT, Universo, Max, and Peacock. And no word on whether or not if Max and Peacock are going to shake hands and sit there and be in the same corner or not. But realistically, in this window, Bart, when you look at coming off of Germany, traveling from Hartford to Nashville, playing at Geoda's, taking on Ghana, once again, obviously, we should all sit there and say that the world is on fire and that everything means everything, and we all should be gripping the guardrail in front of us about what happens in this match on Tuesday when we catch back up for reffing down here and a recap of this on Wednesday.
Look, you just hope that what the good things you did against Germany, which was you had some really good combination play in the midfield with Gio, Musa, Weah on that side. You have some really good combination play between Dest, Ballo, and Pulisic. Can you recreate that? Or do you try something slightly different? And instead of the Musa, McKinney, Gio midfield, do you try like having maybe Johnny or someone who's a more actual defensive midfielder? I don't know. Maybe you want to continue to use Musa at that 6 so that you're like teaching him how to play that position. I'm curious how Greg's going to look at that. I would like to see Serginho Dest play on the right side. I think that's the only thing that I truly want to see against Ghana, because I want to see Scally play left back. I want to see that. Like, we need to test that because we do need to find the Jedi backup, and I don't think Dest is the best option because of what you lose when you take him from the right to the left.
All right, so as you check out of that particular establishment wearing your Lenore Ryan T-shirt and get ready to come back.
Lacrosse national champions.
Oh, very nice.
Division 2 lacrosse national champions this past year, so yes.
Hey, I've been to that football stadium when Fred Goldsmith was the head coach. I know exactly where it is.
Well, one, they renovated the stadium. It doesn't quite look the same. The bricks are still there. They just made it a lot shinier. And we have a big old video board. So
wow. All right.
Yeah. It looks great. And honestly, Moretz, that is one of the best venues in all of lower division college football. I will fully hardly say that. It is a beautiful venue. So.
All right, so you'll be back with us on Wednesday for reffing down here and reviewing the be-all, end-all that is USA and Ghana at the end of the international window. True?
Look, if we don't beat Ghana, we can actually be concerned. I think that's a fair statement. They're at the level that we should be trying to beat them. So I agree.
All right, so he is at SoccerForUSPod, and he is at Bartimus Prime 19. He's checking out of his hotel, and he is out the door. Buy the man a coffee while you're at it. Jared Abbey is saying, have them look at different forms of turf and seeing how similar it is to grass nowadays compared to years ago. And the benefit of a field that won't have divots, you don't have the upkeep costs that grass has, especially with climate change.
Yeah, and I mean, turf requires upkeep too.
Yes.
Because they change it every couple of years to whatever is the latest and greatest to try and replicate grass, but without the wear and tear. But yeah, I mean, there's upkeep with both of them. There's pluses and minuses. We've asked about this with Mercedes-Benz numerous times. The way the stadium's designed, you can't grow grass. Like, I think the only way you could do grass at Mercedes-Benz at this point, and this is not a logistical possibility because of the setup, would be to do the Arizona thing, where you put it on a track, roll it out, grow it, roll it back in, but you don't have space for that. You have a Home Depot backyard kind of in the way. So that's not really an option. So you run with what you got. You're going to make it work for the World Cup because it's the World Damn Cup. And yeah, man, it's just it's going to be interesting to see how turf evolves over the years, because it's gotten better even in the last 3, 4, 5 years. How much can it keep getting better?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as a criticism to say that it can't, but I don't work in turf management. Those are friends of mine who went to school for it. I've never we try not to discuss business when we're not working, but
yes,
that'd be a question for people like that who, because when you start improving like field turf, I think the question then becomes, when does the improvement become negligible? Like, you're always going to make it better, but you're not making huge leaps in the technology. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, because Cobb County is going to probably have to have these conversations soon because all of the all the Cobb County schools, and you go to a lot of high schools these days, not even just Cobb. That's just where I went to school. But a lot of high schools these days have that field turf down. So at what point did they have to replace it? Hell, man, I think McEachern had like field turf down before the Georgia Dome did, or right around when they did.
They were one of the first.
Well, they're special though.
Yes, they are, especially when you're tied to the Life of Georgia endowment. For those of us of a certain age, you're tied to an insurance endowment and a company that is over 100 years old. You'll be okay.
You get out on Barrett Parkway, take a left a couple miles past Powder Springs Road, and you start going down. Damn, I forget the name of the road. You start going down the roads toward McEachern. You can see the grave.
Macklin.
Yeah, you go down Macklin. You can see the giant tombstone and like the giant archway. Go a little bit further, and you can see the giant Indian outside McEachern High School. I'm surprised more people haven't stolen it.
That is the Boomershine Indian, for folks that do not know. And for the longest time, Boomershine Pontiac was part and parcel to the heart of downtown Atlanta. And that Boomershine Pontiac Indian was one of the more recognizable things that you could identify with downtown, because you knew where Boomershine's dealership was because of the Pontiac Indian. And then when, I want to say it was in the early to mid 70s, when Boomershine was leaving downtown and heading to the suburbs, they were trying to find a home for the Indian. And McEachern was like, we'll take it. And so that is where the Boomershine Pontiac Indian is. And it is there on the McEachern campus, taken from Boomershine Pontiac.
You learn things every day here.
And now you know the rest of the story. And Abby says that Boomershine was then on Cobb Parkway near the clock tower. So,
oh damn,
yeah. Michael Head believes all DeKalb County stadia have field turf as well. Basically, all high school stadia in the metro, but most FBS have turf. I don't like it, but facts.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the question, Michael, because I don't know the answer. I wonder if it is just more cost effective for them. Like maintaining the turf is just easier than maintaining the grass, because a lot of it, I know our field, and Osborne wasn't exactly having money to throw around on maintaining things. By the way, 7-0 Osborne, leading their region.
Knocked off Cherokee this past week. That is true.
Sitting above Walton because of alphabetical name only.
Yes, that is also true.
The weirdest universe I live in. But I know like a lot of you do a lot of sports on those fields. Like you have, you're playing football in the fall. Now you have flag football getting bigger. You have soccer. A lot of schools have lacrosse as well, and you just beat the absolute tar out of those playing surfaces and end up having to redo them every year. I assume it's just easier for them to maintain the turf than it is to maintain the grass. And then I think they sow in the lines anyway. So
yeah,
last time I saw Walton, when they were working on Walton's field once, they were sowing in the lines just because it's easier. You don't have to reline the field. You know it's going to be there. You look for the right colors, call it a day.
Correct. And so that's where Walton is right now. And,
and there's like unique circumstances. Most stadia are used for football, soccer, and lacrosse. There's unique ones though, like Marietta High School still has Northcutt Stadium, which is off campus, but the new Marietta High School has a smaller stadium on campus that they can use for soccer and lacrosse, and they frequently do.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And the idea has been floated. Hey, Marietta, don't you want to play on campus and not at Northcutt for your football? And Marietta High School looked at everybody and was like, no.
You're not gonna get them off Northcutt, man. You're gonna drag them out kicking and screaming.
That is absolutely true. And yes, so that is not going to happen. Anytime you have a field goal kicker who can either launch it into a dude's backyard or a dude's front yard, depending on which end zone we're talking about, you're going to have kids aim for those kinds of things.
Yep, and just so we're clear, like if y'all have ever driven by Northcutt, it ain't like just some dude's yards. Those houses are expensive. It's somebody with money's yard.
Yes. And Decatur's got one stadium for everything except for baseball and softball. That is absolutely true. They most certainly do. And the thing about Northcutt is that the stone wall on the outside of the stadium was a WPA project. It was part of a WPA project where they didn't have the money in the 1920s to build a stone wall, and so they canvassed all of the farms in the area, and they asked the farmers, "Hey, do you guys have any extra stone that you could donate so we can build this rather large wall around the environment and the outside of the stadium there at what would be Northcutt?" And so you had all of these farmers bring all of this stone to Northcutt, and then the WPA project constructed the wall, and that's what the wall is. It's part of the WPA project where all of the farmers in the area from the late 1920s brought stone to the property, and that was how it was created.
Well, damn.
Yeah. So, that's your history lesson for today. I meant to talk to you about the Euros because Scotland's in.
Scotland's in.
You qualified after Norway beat Spain.
Hey, frankly, that one should have been worse. Spain had a goal chopped off outside that was questionable. So this is hilarious because now Scotland is Scotland has 2 games left and they're in the Euros. The other side of this equation is the fact that Norway can still get in with Nations League.
Yes, they've got to go in through the Nations League qualifier.
But that's not going to necessarily be easy. But you're also staring, if they don't do it, you're staring at a Euro without Holland, without Ødegaard.
Yeah.
Which is wild to think about. It sucks, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Spain and Scotland winning 5 of 6. Spain ahead on goal difference. Scotland winning, Spain wins 1-0, leads Group A on goal difference. Norway only has 1 game left, and so the max they can do is 13. And they're going to have to go in a different way. But a 22-year wait to qualify for a major finals at Euro 2020. Now Steve Clark has led Scotland to back-to-back European Championship appearances.
This is the first time, I think, since '96 that they have gotten in without having to go through 2 teams go in, 1 comes out, death qualifiers.
Thunderdome.
Yeah, this is the first time they haven't had to go through Thunderdome since I think '96. The Scotland's not perfect. Scotland's not pretty at times. They know what they are, though, and they got here because they snatched a 2-0 win against Spain at home. They snatched a 2-1 win in Norway. They've taken care of it. Like losing to Spain last week was their first loss to qualifiers, and that was a weird game where Scotland had a go-ahead goal taken off the board because of offside, and I think it was correct. It was very weird and very poorly officiated, though. It would have been a good one for Bart. I didn't think about it because we were making fun of the U.S.
That's Wednesday.
Yeah, but because what it was is it's Scott McTominay taking a really tight angled free kick and scoring it. There was a player in front of the goalkeeper who impacted the play. Like he basically on the kick, he stepped away from his man, basically stepped right into the gut of the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper couldn't do anything. The question was whether he was onside or offside, because when they went to look at it, they signaled for foul, and they talked about it being because of a foul. When it wasn't a foul, then they said, "Oh no, it was actually for offside," which it's an issue where a guy is offside, he's impacting the play. I wasn't sure he was offside. If he was offside, it is 1,000% the right call. If he's not offside, it's not a foul, but think they got it for offside, and I don't know if they're using Hawkeye or what. So I'll defer to them. But it was a weird game, and Spain gets 2 goals because Spain is still actually really good at this game. Like they're still a pretty good soccer team, football team, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I know the dictionary shows some violence the other day for people about that definition, but yeah, I mean, and so Spain's in now. Now we got to see if Norway can get in because it's. I think it would be very weird, and it's going to suck if we get these major tournaments without a guy like Holland, without Odegaard doing his thing. So yes, I'm very tickled. I'm very tickled that Scotland is in.
That's what I figured. And it also appears that Rangers finally settled on their new manager.
They did.
Only took them forever to figure it out.
They went through a vetting. They took their time going through the process. It's always fun when an old firm team has to find a new manager because it always ends up with really weird odds, with really weird random managers being linked to the job out of nowhere, and it's my favorite bit of drunkenness that Scotland
does. Abby, as always, have a fantastic Monday. Abby's got like work to do and stuff. Here's your grid for watching things.
Okay. What's your grid?
You got Euro today, noon on FS2, Azerbaijan and Austria, brought to you by the letter A. And Greece and the Netherlands are at 2:45. The Plus has women's college action, Oklahoma BYU at 8. Fox Soccer Plus at 2:45, Luxembourg and Slovakia. Fubo, who I don't have, they've got qualifying 4 matches at 2:45. Gibraltar, Ireland. Will Gibraltar score? Belgium, Sweden, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Portugal, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. Paramount Plus. And true degenerate stuff is the CONCACAF Nations League on Paramount Plus. Seriously, if you want to look at some really cool venues for some teams that are ranked lowly in FIFA, go here. St. Martin and Anguilla at 4. Turks and Caicos, British Virgin Islands at 4. French Guiana, St. Vincent and the Grenadines at 7. Dominican Republic, Barbados at 8. Nicaragua, Montserrat at 10. And they've also got 3 games in the Argentine Primera triple header, 3, 5, and 7. Bonfield, Atletico Tucumán, Central Cordoba, and Lanús. Defensa y Justicia and Belgrano is at 7 o'clock. That's your viewing habits for today. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we go. Arsenal and Emil Smith Rowe, subject of interest from Newcastle. Arsenal interested in signing Ollie Watkins. Inter Milan linked to Tomas Souček from West Ham and Leicester City's Kelechi Iheanacho. Sorry, Knicks. West Ham set to intensify contract talks with Souček, set to become a free agent next summer. Chelsea ready to sell Trevor Chalobah in January amid interest from Bayern Munich from Fabrizio Romano. PSG will make a final contract renewal offer to Kylian Mbappe next week, possibly with a low release clause, with Real Madrid waiting to see what comes of discussions. Greece boss Gus Poyet says he'd like to manage Ireland at some point, having led his side to 2 wins over the Irish in Euro 2024 qualifying. Manchester City stand to earn more than £8 million through a sell-on clause if Liverpool sign Leroy Sané. We didn't get into this today. We'll get into it tomorrow. Jim Ratcliffe's potential 25% investment in Manchester United far from completed, with the British billionaire and club owners set for long negotiations. If it's successful, Ineos Group wants to expand the capacity of Old Trafford to 90,000. Bayern and Barca both want to sign Bayer Leverkusen's Florian Wirtz. Manchester United are in no rush to sell Scott McTominay, but would consider a deal if the price is right. And finally, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will not be Charlotte FC's new manager after team president Joe LeBeau wrote on social media that the Norwegian was only visiting the MLS club's facility. That's courtesy of our friends at the Manchester Evening News.
Okay.
So no Ole in Charlotte.
Charlotte's going to have an interesting offseason. I want to see what it looks like when it's all put together and said and done, because there's going to be a, there's you got the stuff with Swiderski talking about, possibly going back to Europe.
I want to go back to Europe.
Yeah. So you're going to have chances to kind of remake this team. Don't forget, man, like as far as defensively, I realize it was a long time ago in terms of like months ago, man, but the Anton Walkes tragedy was this year
Yes.
in preseason,
Yeah, January.
like torpedoing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's not, man, it's not to minimize any tragedies, but like less important than, Walks' family, but it did torpedo what Charlotte had planned for defensively this year. It changed things. It limited what they were able to do because of the
And
tragedy.
it weighs on your teammates
Oh, 100%.
longer than you would think.
So they are going to be a very interesting study in 2024
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to go into the offseason with a chance to basically fill up a DP spot potentially as Swiderski goes. If they keep Lattanzio,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to have chances to kind of rebuild this team. It'll be a year on for that. I think it's for them. It's going to be a very, very big show me something year.
No doubt.
Because Atlanta seems to have figured themselves back out. Miami has Messi.
And they're going to China. They're going to China. We didn't even get to talk about that today.
They are going to China. Good luck. Just don't be stupid. I really love that place. Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
That's a really simple thing to say, but for some people that is a difficult thing to follow. Miami's got Messi, which is a hell of a trump card. Orlando looks amazing. Nashville's going to the playoff. As far as all the teams in the South are concerned, Charlotte right now is the one that's kind of sticking out here, but not going to the playoffs. How do they, going into 24, flip that script?
Yeah, that's the big thing. And so that will be what we're going to be staring at. And obviously tomorrow we'll get into the Manchester United sale, get into stuff going on with all of the friendlies and the Euros. We'll get into that. Next time Nick comes on, and I'm saving it for the next time that Nick comes on because I want his input on what's going on with Tonali, Zaniolo, and the allegations in Italy about gambling. And we'll get into that with Nick on his next appearance. Yeah, Michael, they can. If they win this home and home with Miami, they probably will be in the playoffs. And then it will definitely be a decision for Tepper and LeBeau and everybody there attached to Charlotte. Do you keep Lattanzio or do you chase after a bigger name?
Yeah, they can get in. I think it's going to be tough. And even if they can, they've been so inconsistent for both years. And if you get a chance, if Swiderski goes and you get a chance to bring another DP, how do you build it up?
Yeah.
And is Lattanzio, is he going to stay the guy?
Yeah.
I just think it's not, I don't think they did terrible. You've got the other Southern teams trying to starting to really figure themselves out.
Yeah.
So what's the move, Charlotte?
Yeah.
I will be very interested to see.
Yep. And we will also take a look. Our friends at The Athletic did their survey on year one of MLS season pass. And so we'll go through that and we will ask you what you've thought of year one of MLS season pass. And so traffic, once again, as always, traditionally, very, 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 very busy. Tuesday is going to be normal. Wednesday, once again, it'll be getting ready for everything going on with Dylan and Bart, hopefully at 10 and 10:30. Trying to bring on the USL show guys at 10 o'clock since the regular season is over. We'll make them a weekly appearance for the playoffs if they're up for it. Kaylor Hodges, John Morrissey, and all those guys. Nico joining us Thursday at 10:30. Standard Friday. Hopefully our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring at 9:30. Then the Weekend Whip Around Patent Pending Trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. All of our network programming, catching up with our friends at Hickory FC, new club in the NPSL. And 1v1s with the teams in a USL Championship and League One that did not make the postseason, getting some info on their seasons and what they thought about their years and what they're going to be working on in the offseason. So we'll be catching up with a lot of those things. Jarrett, it's good to hear your voice. Glad you came in on a Monday.
Yeah, it's try and swing by when we can,
Yes. So since you're here, sir, go ahead and send us home.
Mucho platillo.
What he said. We'll be back at it 9:05 tomorrow morning. It's the end of the show. That means we get to do this.